Hey guys, and welcome to Real Life Ren. I'm actually pretty new to YouTube. My channel's only a few weeks old, so this is kind of one of my first few videos. Bear with me, the lighting is a little weird. I'm still figuring out what to do. All the YouTubers say to use natural light, and I make my videos after my 3 kids go to bed, so that is not an option for me. So I have to figure out some different options for lighting and backgrounds and all that stuff. So my first few videos here are kind of shoddy, but I'll figure it out eventually. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Before you watch this video, you should probably know one thing about me and about my channel. I am a Bible-believing Christian, and my videos mostly will contain content that relates to that subject. If you're not a Christian, I still think you should watch this video. But when you hear me talk about the subject that I'm talking about today, or any of my other videos, just know that I'm coming from a background of being a Christian and believing in God and believing the Bible. You might think that some of my beliefs are weird or different or even stupid, and that's fine. You have the right to believe that. But let's just remember that we all have the right to believe what we do, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But let's be adults about this and not act like monkeys throwing poo at each other. If you're not a Christian, I hope that you can at least watch my videos and appreciate that I'm someone who believes strongly about something, and I live what I believe. I'm not someone that just claims to be a Christian and doesn't actually live what I believe or live what I read in the Bible. I try my hardest. Obviously, I'm a human and I still fail sometimes, but it's my goal to try my hardest to live my convictions. So let's jump into this topic, why I want to talk about sex on YouTube. So to start at the beginning, I actually grew up as a Christian. Basically, since I can remember, I've known God, I've had a relationship with God. My household was all Christian. We went to church pretty much every Sunday and most of my life every Wednesday. It's a huge blessing to have been raised in that, and it's something that I look back on and appreciate very much. But along with being a Christian, sometimes there's issues that go along with it, and one of those problems is that there's a tendency to feel ashamed. Maybe feeling ashamed of things you've done, ashamed of who you feel like you are deep down, or ashamed of issues that you may have in your life, or issues that you may be struggling with. That kind of leads to secrecy, and that can often lead to feeling lonely because you feel like you can't really talk about it, you can't tell anyone, you feel ashamed, and so you keep it all inside and you end up feeling really lonely. Christians often feel like they can't tell anybody about these things because they don't want people to think differently about them or judge them. A lot of Christians don't feel comfortable talking about sex, but that is one of the reasons that I feel so led to talk about it, because we're hearing about sex from every other avenue, from TV, from movies, from media, from friends, from this, from that, and hearing about it from a worldly perspective. But if Christians aren't talking about it, then we're getting all of our views from worldly sources, and we need to be talking about it with Christians. We need to be hearing about it from a Christian perspective, because there's this stigma in the Christian community that sex is wrong and bad and dirty. But I'm here to tell you it's not. In the right context, sex is amazing and wonderful and pure and holy. Growing up, I definitely did feel that kind of sense of shame and secrecy. We didn't really talk about issues and subjects like that in our household. So fast forward to when I started dating my husband. I was about 19 or 20 years old. One day in conversation, he alluded to the fact that he had told his mom something about me and my past. I basically freaked out, and I was like, why wouldn't you ask me first if you wanted to tell her that? I was just completely taken aback that he would do something like that. I felt like he had broken trust by doing that. But he was completely confused as to why I cared and why it was such a big deal. Now, my husband also grew up in a Christian home, but they were brought up in a more open kind of talk about stuff like that with each other environment. He grew up feeling a little bit differently about sharing and being open about life. So here we are today, 8 years later, and over the last 8 years, I have completely transformed the way I feel about this subject and kind of the way I view it for myself. I used to feel really scared about people finding out about things about me, like my past and struggles that I have. And since meeting my husband, I have really changed my perspective on that. And that is that sharing your past, your testimony really, and being okay with sharing your current struggles and problems is and can be one of the most freeing things. And that's what I've experienced since I've decided to be more open and honest and real with people in my life. And that's part of the reason I'm making this channel. Because when you open up and you reveal that you're human and you sin, newsflash, everyone already knows that, you don't have to feel that shame and that secrecy anymore. So you feel free. You can come to a place where your past doesn't define you. And even if you're currently struggling with something, you don't have to be ashamed, because you realize that we all sin, we all have problems. And it's likely that there's thousands of other Christians out there that are struggling with the exact same thing that you are. It's hard because Christians can often be some of the most judgmental people out there. And so that kind of makes the whole secrecy thing a problem, because we feel like if we open up, people are just going to judge us. And to be honest, that's a risk that you have to take. Being open and sharing things, you're definitely risking that happening. That was one of the fears with me creating this channel even, is opening myself up and being real with people. I know that there's a high possibility that I will get criticized, I will get shamed, I will get hate, but when you get to a place where you don't even care if that happens, you get this other wave of freedom, like, I don't have to care. Like they say, haters are gonna hate. And if we're truly Christians, we realize, just like the Bible story where everyone wants to throw the stone at the sinner, Jesus says to us, anyone without sin can be the first one to throw a stone. And we all have our own sins, so we can't really judge each other's sin. We have to focus on the plank in our own eye and not the speck in someone else's. So I have felt compelled to kind of create this YouTube channel as a way to open up and be honest and real, as a way to try and reach out to people. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should go out and create a YouTube channel and divulge all their secrets and their past. Not at all. But I do encourage you to maybe just find a really good, trustworthy Christian friend to talk about things with, to be able to tell them those deep things that you feel like you can't say to anybody else. Because even sharing with one person something that you've never shared with someone can also be really freeing. I'm not just sharing my testimony just to share it, to get attention or whatever. My ultimate goal is to help change people's lives. And so I hope by making this video and by continuing to make videos that are encouraging and helpful, that people can be touched by that. And ultimately that is the goal. And for those of you who aren't Christians, I hope that you seeing this and seeing me open up and be real and be honest about my faith and my struggles and my humanity, that you can in the least appreciate that there are Christians out there who practice what they preach. So if you're curious about what it is my husband told his mom that made me so mad, please subscribe, stay tuned, because I do plan on making a video about that subject, and you will be able to find out the whole situation around that scenario. And yes, it does have to do with the title of this video. Talk to you later.